This is Adam. I am one of the members of the Flipside Gaming group known as Upstate Honor Guard, and I run some of the events that we have here. Most recently, the Golden Sprue Cup, which I believe you attended, Alexis. It's all kind of a blur to me. Yeah. So yeah, we do that, and I'm also one of the hosts of the Masters of the Forge podcast. We bring the world of 40K to life on your tabletop. Boom. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We have fun games. Oh no.
I thought that was on my end.
I hear you. Is it just not broadcasting to the listeners right now, or just your your recording
I'm not
software?
sure. I think we got it back up, but I'm not entirely sure. So everybody, can you tell me if I got music back? Music. Do I have audio back? Anybody? I really hope we do. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'm guessing it heard none of the beginning at all. As you can see here at EgoqueenAlexis, we are professionals in every shape and form. We are 100% not winging it at all in any way.
And you said at the beginning that we were winging it.
I know. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. Welcome to this clearly professional podcast, the live stream thing, where I'm talking with a good friend of mine named Adam. Adam, please introduce yourself.
My name is Adam. I am a member of the Upstate Honor Guard, which is the Warhammer 40,000 club at Flipside Gaming in East Greenbush, New York. I run, I head up the management of the Golden Sprue Cup, which Alexis attended this weekend. And we also do some other events, and I co-host a podcast called Masters of the Forge, which is a podcast that the concept is that it brings the world of 40K to life on your tabletop.
You forgot the boom this time, but boom.
Anyway. Oh yeah, boom.
Some of you guys may know Adam from a couple of our other battle reports. Adam is the player that, well, the play. Obviously, you're a play. Wait, what?
I'm certainly not a playa hater, so I must be a playa. So that's it.
We are right on the money. I am not drunk. I promise. This is just water. Anyway,
Yeah, we've had lots of fun games.
Yeah, the most recent one that we played was Sisters of Battle versus Orks, where we played the chapter approved mission, which took my meat shield and threw it out first for you to kill. That game, we always have really close games between me and Adam. We never have like outstanding victories. It's always like a hard fought battle, very fun. We have a lot of energy in the game. We're both extremely passionate about this hobby. I think you're actually more passionate than me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know a lot. I mean, my podcast is basically about learning the lore of 40K. Like, you don't even need to listen to the podcast because you already know all the things. So that's pretty good.
I try to read as much as I can so I can help out the other guys in my podcast, which is Adeptus Podcastus, where I co-host with Remlace from 40K Theories and Michael from Tactico Imperialis. So compared to those two, I know like nothing, but, you know, I try. So this weekend was the Golden Sprue, the tournament that kind of proved to me that I was not a power player. I went in there thinking, you know, I got this, I'm playing sisters, they're broken. Oopsie daisy, I got my butt stomped. I did wind up winning 2-1, one loss, but I didn't make up enough points to actually really place.
Yeah, you did pretty well. Like you know, in the ITC, you win. You basically get 1,000 battle points for a win. So the maximum points were 42. And per game, and out of 3 games you got 32, so that's not a lot, but by ITC standards you had like 2,032 points, you know, because winning is everything.
You win at all costs. That's me.
But not really, but yeah, you did a really good job of eking out your wins, and I think, you know, both Orks and Sisters kind of do that, right? Like they can finagle the game. They play against the opponent really well because you have all the tools you need to win the game, but there is a level of fragility to the units that lends itself to close games.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Lends itself to fun games too.
Oh, it is so much fun. Like Orks and Sisters, they definitely punish your opponent for misplaying. If you misplay with the Sisters of Battle, you place your repressors wrong, or something happens where you're suddenly stuck out in the open with your sisters, they're gone. There's nothing like a Space Marine where you can hold off because you have and they shall know no rules. You basically have, you killed 3 of my 5 girls, they're gone. They're not at combat efficiency anymore, and they're going to die.
You have better uses for those command points than saving them.
Yeah. So right now, I do want to go over the list that I did bring. I see we're getting a lot of idiots in the comments. That's always fun.
That's always fun, right? Like,
oh yeah, they're from that
people with nothing better to do with their lives.
Well, it's from that one Facebook group that's a bunch of children.
Oh,
yeah, you know,
40K for actual children.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
I'm gonna make a Facebook group that's devoted to just being able to cuss.
Yeah, but anyway, let's not feed those things.
Yeah, let's hear the list, Alexis.
So my list was Sisters of Battle with Imperial Guard ally. The Imperial Guard ally was Vistorians. The Sisters of Battle were Order of Our Martyred Lady, even though that doesn't mean anything right now. My list was 10 command points at a grand total of 1,995 5 points. I almost said bonus points. I don't know why. I realized it afterwards that I took away a 4-point upgrade and never added it back, so I was down 5 points, which is nothing. So the list consisted of two battalions and an outrider detachment. The first battalion having Celestine and her 2 Geminis in. One of the things that people do have to pay attention to is the Geminis also have the character keyword. So if they're killed, they actually trigger Martyrum, which means that when a character is slain, you pick a unit and they immediately perform an act of faith at the end of phase. So if you have a heavy bolter retributor squad in the back, if you have a Dominion squad up front that's out of their Rhino, they can fire immediately. You could have Celestine punch before, like, she can get declared as a target for a charge and wind up punching before. No, she can't, because that's a different phase. My bad. If she's
Either
locked,
way, you can do a lot with that. You can Yanari better than Yanari with that.
Yes, you can. Especially with the Acts of Faith, they can be broken, and the other command point ability of theirs, where it's just a 4-up deny whatever the hell you feel like it, that stopped my opponent in their tracks in a good chunk of games, stopping warp time, stopping the necessary smite. So it was really good. Those 2 Geminis definitely come in handy. Then I had a Canoness with a Combi Flamer and a Power Sword. The Relic Power Sword, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically a Thunder Hammer. It's a Strength 5 Thunder Hammer. This little girl, she does a lot of work with that little Thunder Hammer. Jumps out of her Rhino, beats the crap out of whatever she sees. Offers another flamethrower to the army. Always good. Excuse me. Then I had 3 Battle Sister squads. The Battle Sister squads contained... The first one contained 2 melting guns and a combi flamer and 2 bolters. They were inside a repressor, which we'll get to later. The other 2 squads were identical at 1 melta, 1 heavy flamethrower, and 1 combi flamer on the Sister Superior. I found this to be the best combo because if it's in a repressor and you have both the squads in there, you now have a ton of weaponry to use. You can be both anti-tank and anti-infantry. You can jump out both squads if you need to, if the tank is locked in combat. And that weapon combination can deal with most threats. I have no... Like, I'm always going to keep that the way it is. I really liked it. I want to add another Battle Sister squad with the same thing. I have a Magnifier for an extra Act of Faith every turn. Just a 4-up. Whoop. I get an Act of Faith. Then the Outrider detachment, I had a Canoness with a Condemner bolt gun and a chainsword. Well, let me tell you about this Condemner bolt gun. It's a 1-point upgrade that can, if it wounds, because it's just a bolter, but if it wounds, it's D3 wounds to a Psyker.
It's awesome.
It's useful for versing against those pesky little Primaris Psykers from the Imperial Guard, where I could just pop them immediately. Then I had the 4 Dominion squads, 2 with all meltas, 2 with all flamethrowers. Extremely good for scouting up ahead. Unfortunately, I did run into a problem, which I am going to talk about in just a few seconds. Then I had the 5 repressors. I do want to up this to 6 repressors because I do want the mobility. Each of the repressors was armed with 2 heavy flamethrowers and a storm bolter. Then the battalion detachment, this is the Imperial Guard. I had 2 company commanders and 3 infantry squads with a squad of ratlings with sniper rifles. They were completely useless. Nice. I'm not going to lie, they were useless. So, it is what it is. So, what do you think of that battle list? You've fought this list before.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's certainly a nice wall of steel. You wanna stay like a good like cavalry style list. You need to keep your ranks tight, but you also need to allow yourself escape vectors to fall back from the destroyed vehicles, or you might end up, wrapped by mobs of infantry. I think that again, I think that the Seraphim, the Germain Superior, I think that's what they're called.
The Gemini Superior.
They help you add and like action, a lot of action. You get extra actions from them dying, and you can also bring them back too. So
Every
the
turn.
fact that, yeah, exactly. So you're not actually losing units in order to get those bonus actions. You're actually regenerating your ability to do that every turn without any kind of expenditure of reserve points, which is really, really good. So yeah, I think it's a great list, and I think the more you practice with it, the better you're gonna do.
Well, whoop, go ahead.
What do you think you need to change anything? Like, did anything underperform? I mean, clearly you don't like the rattlings, but I think that, they do use a more a modern version of infiltrate, right? So they are helping you block for deep strikers throughout your games.
Well, the guard didn't perform as well as I wanted. What I want to do instead, because the guard had one purpose, and that was prevent deep strikers from hitting in my backfield. Somebody actually pointed this out to me. Another Sisters player at the tournament, I saw them do this, and it was just like, why didn't I think of that? So what they did was they just took Battle Sisters, unupgraded, just bolters, 10 of them, 20 of them, doesn't matter. Actually, they did 9 of them, because the ITC, the missions where you have to kill 10 guys, doesn't affect them if you take them as 9-man units, or in this case, female units. So take 2 squads of them, and I want to take Retributors with heavy bolters to help deal with the one thing that was killing me in that tournament, and that's Dark Reapers. So
they'll negate whatever cover bonus they have, and they're strength 5, so they're wounding almost everything on 3s, and they actually get to wound tough things on 5s instead of 6s.
Yep. And with the additional acts of faith, like I can use 1 act of faith at the beginning of my turn, shoot with them, and then I can use another one, or just shoot with them normally during the assault, during the shooting phase.
Yeah, and I know who you're talking about. I pulled up his list just because I figured we were going to be talking about it. Mike Kaiser, he actually got 2nd place at the tournament.
Yep.
In a field of 40, I mean, in the end, I think it was 46 people. He took 2nd place with a majority Sisters list. Now, of course, he didn't have all Sisters. He also had a spearhead of Space Marines, and those Space Marines.
The long-range firepower.
Don't you love the edition? Like, this list has 3 Predators in it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
I personally loved his list. Like, I looked at it, and I was just like, oh my god. Like I kept looking at his list and comparing it to mine, and I'm just like, I see what he's doing. I know exactly what he's doing, and I know how to hard counter that because it's something that I do. A lot of people don't know how to hard counter Sisters because nobody expects to run into them. They're crazy.
Yeah.
And like, I took a lot of notes from his list, and I gotta say that he was a really good player. I actually had to I talked to him and everything. And when talking with him, we compared units, and like...
Sorry.
I know. That was terrible. But when we were actually comparing armies and everything, I knew what I needed in my army versus what I had. I'm unfortunately limited. It's the one time I'm actually limited on units.
Right.
And it's mind-blowing to me because with my Space Marines, I have 3 Predators. I have 3 of pretty much everything in the Codex. With Tyranids, I have almost everything that I need, but I don't have it in excess like I do with my Space Marines. And yes, that was a subtle Slanesh joke. Also, I haven't broken out my Tyranids this edition. I have not been feeling the bugs.
Well, I mean, it's very in your face turn 1. Like the good way to play it is is a turn one blitzkrieg, kind of like playing corn. And
Oh yeah.
if you want a tactical game, it's really not the army for you at the moment. And that's kind of what I'm feeling with my orcs. I know they can win. I know they can do well, but for me, I always liked how surprisingly tactical they could be. And recently it's been a very much a turn one, turn two slobber knocker.
It's
and
just
I'm
Alpha
not
Strike the
interested
game
in
with
that.
them.
I'm not really all that interested in that right now. That's why I'm kind of edging towards starting to pick up my Emperor's Children army.
We're
But
both doing
yeah.
Emperor's Children. That's good.
They're so much fun, and I can't wait to put them on.
See
I just
the new
need
Demon Codex.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's.
Did you see the Seeker bomb in it?
Dude, you know what I like? I just like demonettes. I just want to send forth mobs of them. I only have 20.
Yeah, I'm gonna need about a bazillion, because that's just how I collect things. Like,
Right.
Hey Alexis, here's a sensible 2,000 point list. Here's the stuff that you need to get. Why do you have 6 Heralds of Slanesh? Oh, because they look cool.
So, do you want to talk about what are you gonna do you think you've processed what you're gonna change, or are you kind of like sitting on it for a little while letting it stew?
I actually have a goal. Like immediately when I went in, I fell in love with the tournament crowd. I get that some of them got a little bit too competitive and acted like yeah, but for the most part, everybody there
really
was. Whoop, go ahead.
One dude. It was one dude who was causing a big problem. Everyone else was great and had a wonderful time. So, and yeah, you're right, Alexis. These folks are pretty great. And we had like 2 girls playing. That's like,
yeah, that's kind of huge. That was out of 46 people, there were 2 women. Yes.
That was amazing.
I mean, she was playing Necrons, I was playing Sisters. But still, there was at least 4 women in that room.
What? But yeah, no, there were great people, all from all around. We had folks come from the Battle for Salvation, which is a downstate tournament I think it's on my anniversary every year, so I can't ever go.
Oh my god!
I recommend it.
That's the battle that Fritz always went to, right?
I don't know, but they're really good people down there. We had folks come from the Portal, which we try to support as much as we can. They're kind of the most local folks. They're over in Connecticut. Those guys are super awesome. And then we had a bunch of folks come from the tournament they run is Beef and Wing, but they're 13th Legion. 13th Legion. Those guys are awesome. They also the guys from I'm gonna kill myself for not they do Du Bois GT. Those guys are super awesome.
I was gonna go to that one. I really wanted to go to that one, but I knew about it months in advance, but I didn't write it down. I didn't plan for it. I heard about it from another hobbyist that I follow on Twitter. And we were going to meet up, and then I got called into work, and I was just like,
yeah,
I need.
Yeah, if you're going to go to one in our state, like, I'm not even like go to mine. You should go to Du Bois because it's so.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's like the perfect environment. It's a party. It's super fun. It's like, that's what I want ours to be like. I want ours to be a party where you play 40K. And that's why I do it at the American Legion, because they have the bar right there. The alcohol's inexpensive. There's easy access to hotels and stuff.
I don't think I paid for a drink that night.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, they treat us really well.
Oh
Like,
yeah, their staff is extremely helpful. They will actually try to find you to deliver what you're doing and not interrupt you while you're gaming. They know the difference. They
mhm.
they take you guys seriously. It's actually quite amazing how helpful and how nice that they are. And that's one of
They,
the things, like, against all of my opponents and all of the people that I was around during that day, not one person was like super pissed off or anything. They were just having fun playing Warhammer, and it was like, oh yeah, we brought tournament lists, but we're not assholes. And I was just like, this is the kind of scene that I can see myself in.
yeah. Yeah, they were wonderful, and you know, every tournament you're gonna have one or two, and I think people get turned off. They hear horror stories about tournaments, and it's really the minority of people who act like that. And in a game where in games where I've played, I don't think I've ever had a situation like that. Um, I've seen it happen, and you know, we had one situation at our tournament, but to be honest, it's not something that is the norm. Most people are great, and
Well,
most games are great. Even if you're getting your butt whooped, you're really a lot of the time you get whooped by somebody who's super nice and will help you figure out what you did wrong, and help you develop a strategy for the next time.
it's funny, the guy that actually beat me was a fan of mine. That I thought was really cool, and I was just like, well, I can't be mad at you. And you also had an amazing army list. Like, I I did not expect Dark Reapers to be that good. I will admit that. I did not expect that.
Right?
So
Was it one of the guys from the sector from Western Mass? Those guys are awesome
I'm
too.
not sure. I know he had the Necron converted Eldar army.
He's that guy. Oh my, Andrew Ford. Yeah. We probably shouldn't like
No, we
blow up
should not
people's
use
names.
names. Ignore that
Sorry.
name.
I didn't say anything. Yeah. Oh my goodness. His army. Unreal. You know, he flew in from like hundreds of miles away to play at our tournament. Thank you. If you're listening, sorry I said your name on the air. But if you're listening, thank you so much for coming. That was awesome
It
to hear.
was like the game I actually had against him was so much fun. Like, I got my. He was just like, hey, there's your butt. Here it is now. And I'm just like, yeah, you just handed me my ass. That was. That was really bad. Like, he knew
From
exactly what to
yeah.
do, where to throw his shots. He knew every. Like, he knew my army inside and out and took it right apart. And I was just like, I ain't even mad. Like, this is actually amazing.
It's
So,
like being awarded with the most beautiful death scene in a movie. Like, sure, why not? Let's do
yeah.
this.
Like, and it was. I can't fault him, but I do want to talk about his battle strategy really quickly.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
my army is heavily, heavily mobile, getting in your face the second the game starts and immediately assaulting you. It is an Alpha Strike army that requires movement. He walled me off with infiltrators. In fact, everybody that either beat me or almost beat me my last game, especially that guy was amazing with all the demon princes. It was super cool. They all infiltrated right around my entire army, and I was just like this. Oh, it's a good thing I have a mobile force that now can't move.
And that shows the importance of having those sacrificial units. And like everybody keeps saying, "Oh, I've seen people like post on Sean Naden's list, his Eldar list that has a bunch of scouts in it or whatever they're
The
called,
Rangers, the Pathfinders,
Rangers,
whatever they're
right?
called.
Like, yeah, and oh, what are you even doing with those? They don't kill anything. The point isn't that they kill things. The point is that you're not going to deep strike 9 inches away and assault him on turn
Yep.
one.
And he made that abundantly clear. I had to take. It took me not even a turn
Right.
of shooting to get past all of them. But at the same time, that's exactly what he needed. He needed one turn to pelt my tanks. And then the next turn, he ripped, I think, yeah, he ripped 4 of them apart in 2 turns. And I was just like, these tanks are really broken. Like, let's talk about that for a second. The repressor is broken. Can we both agree on that?
Does overperform compared to some other vehicles at that price point. That is for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure. And, meanwhile, he's also scoring the point for holding objectives and holding
Recon,
more objectives.
Everything. And
he
that was
strikes
something...
next to you and then pushes forward with everything else, right?
Yep. And that was one of the big things, like, I didn't look at the secondaries too much. Like, I was going to sit back and study them and be like, okay, so these are the ones that I should grab. I should grab Recon. I should grab Old School. I should grab Big Game Hunter. Those are the 3 that I should grab. Every game I was making a poor choice because I was doing it right on the spot and reacting to my opponent, which is something that I actively tell people not to do. You want your opponent reacting to you, so you're always one step ahead. And I made a very, very, very beginner mistake, and it cost me a good chunk of my games. Or a good chunk of units.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. And it comes from more and more experience. So instead of saying, I need to take this to react to this and this and this. Instead, it's just second nature. Oh, I'm facing this army. I need to take these secondaries. You know, right off the top of your head what you need to do. And, all we can do is keep playing,
Well, yeah, just keep rolling, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, the one thing that I was talking about earlier is I wanted to get a goal. I wanted to have a goal for this year. And I think it's to come in the top 100. And this is somebody else said this to me for their faction. And I'm like, Sisters of Battle, they don't have a lot of players, so I kind of... But I do want to make sure that I want to try to get in the top 100 for Sisters of Battle. And I think it is achievable. I think it is really fun, and I want to go to more events. I'm going to go to Adepticon. I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing in the tournaments yet. I still have to get the tickets and everything. But I do.
Yeah, a bunch of our clubmates are going. So at the very least, you'll have people who you can at least hang out with every once in a while and talk to. And if you wanna go to the portal in the future or Du Bois, just speak up in the Discord channel, and we'll make sure everybody's included.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to. I have been paying attention more to your Discord and everything like that. Like I've been trying to focus on it, but with my Discord being a Discord, it gets a little crazy.
Uppercase D and lowercase d.
Yeah. Nice. It gets a little bit crazy in there on occasion. So what were the armies that you saw that did very well?
If you want to talk about, I can talk about it from 2 perspectives. So first off, after the first day, we dropped everybody who was not in the top 8. Mm-hmm. So talking about the actual top 8 finishers, number 8 was a World Eaters army.
Oh, nice.
Number 7 was an Ultramarines army.
No real surprise there.
Number 6 was a Death Guard army. There were tons of Death Guard armies. Number 5 was Adeptus Astartes. Number 4 was Ynnari.
Yeah, so much for that Ynnari nerf, right?
Right, yeah. No,
Dark Reapers. Dark Reapers for days.
Yeah, and you just take a good mixture of stuff. You're still probably going to take I forget what it's called, the craft world that gives you the -1 to hit. You're still going to take a bunch of those as support, but you still want some Ynnari in there, and you still want your Vrain, because your Vrain gets you the extra the extra actions with her
Your brain
psychic
gets
powers.
the extra actions and 2 smites a turn.
Really good.
Yeah.
And she has a kitty cat, a meow 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 meow. Then we had Cult Mechanicus in third, and he's just a really good player. Like his
Oh,
army,
excuse me.
gorgeous green Adeptus Mechanicus army.
Oh
And
yeah, he had the beautifully painted display board, didn't he?
a friendly player. He's a good painter, and he's a good player. F that guy. You know, he's the hat trick 40k player. Like, man, he's got it all.
Oh man.
Number 2, as we discussed, was Adeptus Sororitas. He was a really good player. And number 1 was Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy seeing Chaos Space Marines instead of Imperial Soup, right?
What's great is about that, you had two primary Adeptus Astartes players.
Mm-hmm.
Had two primary Chaos players. Like, how great is that to see such a mixture of armies in the top 8? I love it.
And there was only one Necron player and one Tau player in the entire place.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so if you want to talk about just, overall score, like from battle between the 2 days, because we split it up between like the GT and a second RTT on the second day. We also had Eldar at the top with the gentleman who defeated you. He was a top spot in the RTT on the second day.
Well, see, if he's gonna beat me, he better beat me so well that he wins something.
Exactly. We had more Chaos Space Marines. We had Ultramarines with Alex's crazy 4-flyer list.
Oh yeah, wasn't it the what was those? The storm. Oh god, the Fire Raptors.
The shooty Fire Raptors. Yeah, he stayed up late the night before, converting his heavy bolters to autocannons using straws, and like they actually looked really good. He's like, I'm not going to go in with.
I saw them. Yeah, they looked amazing.
Proxies on the second day, he couldn't bring himself to do it, so he painted some straws in gold or silver and made sure it actually looked not bad. Then Joe from Massachusetts, he did really well with his Yanari. Again, another Yanari list. And then Astra Militarum and more Eldar. Like, there was still a lot of Eldari and Chaos Space Marines at the top. Yeah. At the end of the day, it was really good. I'm happy to see that.
It is actually crazy to see. Like, I will admit that I misjudged the Eldar and just how powerful that they were. And everybody telling me, like, because I get a lot of people who tell me their army list and everything. And one of the things that I always warn them about is Anari. Anari mixed with Ali Tuck for the Rangers and for the rest of the army.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah, and it's one of the scariest combos in the game because it's a -1 to everybody, and then the guys get the double tap. And coming from a sister player, think about this. If you can double tap with a unit, it is twice as effective and makes back its points almost immediately.
Right. And the fact that you see it at the top still means that it was broke as crap before.
Yeah, could you imagine that when you could do that like a bazillion times? Like,
it was super busted before, and it's still at the top table. So it's a good thing they nerfed that down to the ground.
Yeah.
Because it was unreal before. One thing we didn't see a lot of, which surprised me, was tyranids. There was some tyranids, but you didn't see a lot of it, and it wasn't at the top. So I'm a little disappointed there.
I have a feeling about that, and I have a feeling it's because of their price. Actually, just their price. See, with Sisters of Battle, you can get away with their justifying their prices because you don't need that many sisters. But Tyranids, the big monsters, the damn pinecone testicle thing costs like $70.
And you need a lot of Genestealers, and it's possible
Yeah.
people just don't own that many Genestealers yet.
What is
So
it?
yeah, I can definitely see it coming back in the near future. You don't see a lot of orcs, but there's a reason for that. They're just
Oh,
they do what the Genestealers do, just not as good.
and you have factions like World Eaters, which do what the orcs do a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with
But
you.
even with the gigantic nerf to Brimstone Horrors, I did see them there.
Yep, and the day 2 we allowed the new codex, but day 1 we did not. So yeah, you're still gonna see those, but it was kind of a last hurrah for those guys.
Yeah, they're garbage now. You could just throw them out.
You'll still see them though because of how cheap they are. Because you're not
true.
you're gonna still screen with them, but you're not going to see them en masse like you used to. I don't think. I think people are going to go for units that are actually doing something effective on the battlefield rather than just screens, though you're still going to see the screens.
Mm-hmm. Also, we didn't see any knight tables. Like, no one was fielding 5 knights.
No, that's not going to happen because shadow swords are a thing.
Yeah, shadow swords, which literally delete 2 knights a turn. Just threw the one cannon on the front of it, and all of the bolters and everything on the other side, it's going to evaporate the knights.
And las cannons, yeah, it's just not a good day for knights. Need something. I'm not sure.
Shadow sword needs to be nerfed. It's just up in points, just a little bit more. Because
something needs to happen with that thing. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is. I'm sure, like Alex's list, the flyers. There's a lot of lists that can deal with knights, but the shadow sword just makes it not fun.
I think almost the problem with knights is everything can deal with them. Like,
it's true.
Last edition they were really powerful. This edition they look cool on a shelf.
Yeah, that's really it. My knight army is not going to come out until I can actually like do something with them. They're just too expensive.
I would like to have a game against your knights, because I do want to break out my 3 knights, and I just want to have a knight fight.
That would be fun. I think that would be a good use of the model, just as a knight on knight kind of battle. That would be fun. I would do that.
Also, I was heavily debating, like, if I could change my list in any way, shape, or form, I would have dropped everything and brought my Warhound.
That'd be glorious. That would be, and it would have been allowed. I mean, it's not. There are no restrictions now in ITC, and I think to be fair, thanks to the Shadow Sword, because no one wants to bring a 2,000 point like single vehicle, because a Shadow Sword can kill it in 1 turn.
Yeah, it really can. It's they need to do something about that. Like, I don't get why they upped the points of the APOC units. Like, why? Like, if you're gonna up those points, up the Baneblade, up all of the Baneblade variants, up them up like ridiculous. And that way, when you actually do an Apocalypse game, you could be like, here's what you have for your regular army, plus 10,000 points of just Apocalypse units. And it would just be the super heavies and everything like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is. There does seem to be a lot of just like, oh, that's dead. Okay, now that's dead. So I don't know if it's
Shadow Sword breaking the game. Although,
right? I mean, it has to do what it can do.
Yeah, and I just filmed a tournament level game between 2 really fun players, and he showed me some dirty tricks that you can do with Lehman Russes, with tanks, with banners on vehicles, like banners that are included in the kits. You can call line of sight from. You can disembark from. And it's like completely dirty.
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna be putting the banners back onto all of my vehicles. Like, yo, I could disembark 3 inches above my vehicle? Sweet.
That is the worst.
Yeah, because it's just placement. It's not movement. It's funny that they buffed the Shadow Sword's gun from the Index to the Imperial Guard Codex. Yeah, that's another thing. They did buff it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something that big should not benefit from the Cadian doctrines or whatever.
Yeah, and the relics and everything.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
So, are you ready for questions?
There's some questions.
Yeah, Nooble's been grabbing them for us as we've gone through.
There's not many.
All right, well, it's fine.
All right. I'm looking to make a themed Imperial Guard army centered around the Elysian Drop Trooper. What are some suggestions for units to buy?
Well, you can go with the Elysian vehicles. They're really badass. The cars, those things are cool. Adam, do you have any experience with the Elysians?
I think you definitely want to go to your video store, and by video store I mean you're probably not 40 like me. So instead of going to your video store, go to the internet and download Apocalypse Now and watch it. You'll get the idea of what modern cavalry looks like, and then go to Forge World and buy yourself what's the name of the flyer with the Punisher cannon on it?
Oh, the Thunderbolt Thunderbolt fighter, or is it?
It's modeled off of the Valkyrie chassis, Vendetta.
Yeah, the Vendetta gunship.
Get yourself a sweet Vendetta gunship as support. Get a bunch of Valkyries, because the Elysians are a mobile cavalry unit, in the modern sense. Okay, and those are the kind of
Vulture gunship. The Vulture gunship.
Yeah, the Vulture gunship. Thank you. Get a bunch of those, and then of course you'll want the Elysians. Now, I think if you're talking about like, oh, you want to go a little cheaper, then
use the Genestealer cultist.
Yeah, Mantic does sell a model that is very Elysian-ish. If you want to go the opposite direction, you want to go for more beautiful models, look at Victoria Lamb's miniatures. Those are super gorgeous models, and she has some Elysian-ish units. But to be honest, the Forge World infantry are really, really good. They're super fun. They're super nice. So I would definitely look at that. If I were doing Elysians, I would just go all in on the deep striking, flying cavalry.
Yeah.
Smug guns.
I really like the cars though.
The car, you should at least have one. You should have at least one Torox, just because that's super cute.
Oh, it's not the Torox. It's the Elysian like dune buggy thing.
The dune buggy. Oh my god, I didn't even think about the dune buggy. That is rad. Yes, do it.
And it doesn't suffer penalties for moving, and it can move like 20 inches or something like that. All right, what do we got for the next one?
Looks good. I was switching back because I was taking screenshots of them because, yeah. Okay. Did she at least take pictures of the armies? I would love a showcase from there.
So all of my games kind of went to time. I did get some footage, but not enough to make a video out of it. I will probably throw it all together, put some music to it, and put it up on the channel at some point. But I will admit to, after my second game, getting drunk and not recording.
So if you want, Alexis, I could paste to you a link to the public album on Facebook that I have.
Okay.
Which does have pictures of the armies at the very least.
Yay!
Again, same as you, after a little while, I'm like, I don't have time to be taking pictures, but I at least got pictures of most of the armies.
All right. Thank you. So there you go. I will throw those together into a collage, and I'll put the GT on it, put some music to it, and just do it as a video.
Cool.
Any advice for a junior cosplayer?
YouTube tutorials. Thousands of them. if you could actually find tutorials where they explain, pick something easy for your first cosplay. Always pick something easy for the first thing that you want to cosplay. Work from there. Learn the differences between all of the foams and everything. Learn the differences in equipment that you're going to need. Never start a cosplay without all of the equipment needed for it. Otherwise, you'll fall into cosplay limbo, which is where I am with my demon cosplay. Go for something easy. Go for something small and look up tutorials.
And that's true for like everything. I think really YouTube is such a great resource for that. Like,
yeah,
every time I'm like, I need to change the lamp on my car. Like, my dad never taught me any of that crap, you know. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
I felt so manly and accomplished when I changed my own headlamp on my truck.
Did you put in the proper amount of blinker fluid?
Really, yes. I mean, you know, you don't want that season up on you in the middle of the winter.
It causes all sorts of problems to the defibrillator. It's really messed up.
Oh well, the Heisenberg compensators just all, you know, those are what you got to look out for.
I mean, the second those go, you might as well just throw out the entire car.
Yeah, clearly.
No amount of coats of red paint will fix it.
Well, let's be honest. There is no problem that can't be solved by multiple coats of red paint.
I wonder if that's a like duct tape go-to. It's like instead of how we fix everything with duct tape, they fix everything with red paint.
It really hard with a hammer.
Hey, you know what? I've learned a lot about cars. Hitting it with a hammer is actually legit. It works. All right, what do we got for the next question?
Is grot spam any good?
No, they can't really do anything.
I took grot spam. I took a grot spam list to a turn. I took it to the last Portal GT, and half the cost of orks, which you'd think, okay, yeah, that's not bad. And if they're in greater than 20 units, greater than 20 or 20 or greater, they got a +1 to hit as well. With their shooting, that almost puts them at Imperial Guard levels, but they're only 1 point, cheaper. They're just way worse. Grot spam is not good. Now, having said that, certain types of grot spam and using your grots appropriately is good. So
like those cannon crews.
Yeah, I have a unit of grots almost always, between 10 and 30 of them, and I use them to just dump on an objective. So I'll teleport a unit of grots upfield and drop them on an objective, and then when the opponent shoots them to the point where they think, they will die in the morale. And if it's holding an important objective, I'll say, hey, guess what? 2 command points. They survive. I don't even care. I'll spend 2 command points for a victory point.
Yeah.
So there's that. And having a unit of grots for that is fine, because if you do that with orks, it's a waste of points. It's not a waste of points to do it with a squad of grots. Cannons are also very, very good. I think any ork player at this point understands the value of cannons and artillery crew. Artillery crew are
artillery's kind of
not
really good.
Big characters, but they are not characters. So having said that, guess what? They are not, as far as I know, maybe double check the rules on this. They are not. I don't think they're affected by the new character beta rules that are out there.
Yeah.
They are still doing the shenanigans of the juggling units and everything like that. So they are really, really, really good. Ork artillery is worth taking just for the grots, because they're only 2 points and they act like characters for shooting. So really good. And the custom mega cannon with the points reduction is actually pretty good. I think it's like 40. It's a very small number of points for a gun that shoots D6 shots, AP -3, gets hot, D3 damage at 36 inches. It's actually pretty good.
Kind of ridiculous.
So when it comes to that kind of grot spam, it's not bad. And I think Rufio Symes, what's his real name? Rob Symes. He used to do the Warhammer TV. He took an army of like 20 something custom mega cannons to the Heat 1 or Heat 2 of the Warhammer World Heat, and he did very well with it. He didn't win, but he did very well with it.
Jeez. That's actually really funny. Like, I think that was meant to be a joke question, and you actually answered it from a professional point of view.
Well, I mean, you'd think that you could bring a bunch of heavy weapons and stuff, a bunch of other specialty orc units, and then just use grot spam as like grots to just screen. And it's just sometimes you just want orcs for that, even though they're more expensive.
Yeah, I can completely agree with that. All right, what do we got for the next question?
What's your opinion on using some customized fantasy minis as proxies? Proxy Forge World Giant. Forge World Giant Chaos Spawn Beasts. Charybdis Hellpit Abomination. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, so using proxies of models that actually kind of fit the roles. To be honest, I'm not against it. In tournaments, I would kind of frown upon it. But if they don't exist in 40K and you're clearly telling your opponent what they are, like, this right here is my Beast of Nurgle. And you're just like, all right.
From a TO sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Alexis.
Go for it.
From a TO perspective, it's all about effort. So the more effort someone puts into a conversion, the more likely the tournament organizer is to be happy with it. So if Beast of Nurgle are not that hard to do, and it's something that's very common. And the Hellpit Abomination, again, any of these monster type creatures are ripe for conversions because of
they're just
the fact
fun.
that you can run wild. So I would just say, the more effort you put into making your conversion and the more effort you put into making it as close as you can to the original without compromising your imagination is the better off you'll be. For the most part, in any case, for any conversion or counts as model, go ahead and email your TO. Make sure that you clear it with them, and I think you'll find 9.5 times out of 10 you're gonna get approval on your conversion.
Yeah. For me, I did for the conversion in the tournament that I don't think anybody had a problem with. I took all kneeling Space Marine snipers for ratlings because they're a little bit taller, but they were all kneeling already, so they're all really small, and no one seemed to have a problem with them. Mostly because people just got rid of them.
Don't you already have some kind of, like, there's also some interesting basing on there, aren't there? Isn't there?
Yeah. I always do intricate basing on my models.
Yeah, so they definitely looked very snipery, and they were very, they had that low profile, so I don't think nobody's going to really give you a hard time about that.
I also made sure their faces were completely covered because I honestly hate open helmets. It's like, why did you even bother putting on the helmet? You're going to get shot in the face.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we got for the next one?
What do you think that other first running chapters don't deserve a codex, like putting the Raven Garden salamanders, etc., into one book like chapter approved?
To be honest, they're not. Unlike Horus Heresy, currently the chapters are identical to each other because of the Codex Astartes. They're meant to be Codex compliant, so the non-Codex compliant, or actually, yeah, just the non-Codex compliant chapters, which I will correct myself because I did tell somebody some wrong information a while ago. So I do apologize for this. The Black Templar are non-Codex compliant. I do apologize. Yeah. But codexes that are non-Codex compliant should have a codex. And that includes the White Scars, the Black Templar, Space Wolves, Dark Angels, and Blood Angels. They all have unique things that could be explored and added to the codexes that they are currently in. Such as the Dark Angels got the Night Shrouds, the Raven Guard, the Raven... I got this. The Deathwing and the Raven Wing. They also could have expanded them further by going with the Dreadwing and the Firewing, but they didn't.
Ooh.
Kind of annoyed me a little bit. I'm a bit of a lore junkie, so, you know, things like that kind of get to me a little bit. The Blood Angels have the Sanguinary Guard, the Death Company, and they did have a unique flyer for a little bit. Now they don't. They had unique characters and everything. And I do think that the first founding chapters should have their own codexes, to be honest. Except for the ones that are Codex compliant, like the Imperial Fists. They are Codex compliant even though they don't like it. Black Templar are not, and thus should get their own. Does that make sense?
It's from the perspective that you're coming from. The only thing I would add is from a business perspective, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. There's no money to be made in it.
Though Games Workshop is expanding its player base every day, and it is doing very, very well in the stock market. It is doing very well.
Well, yeah,
so,
8th edition is blowing everybody's expectations away.
Yeah, so to be honest, dude, I don't know. I would assume the gender of the questioner, but to be honest, I would say I would expect more books to come out for the chapters, because
but go ahead, finish.
Because they're doing so well. I would say don't hold your breath, but we may get more books in the future. We may get a Black Templar book. We may get a White Scars book. You never know, because if there's more players, there's more people who will buy the books.
That is true. And if you look at the current codexes that are coming out, they are splitting up certain factions, and such as the Custodians are being the Custodians, and then they're going to have Codex Sisters of Silence. Personally, I think those two books should have been interwoven, or at least have something in their books where they can be interwoven and gain each other's abilities or something like that, because they're supposed to be the Emperor's Legion. But that's just me bitching. That is just, I will admit to that. That is me nitpicking and being a bitch. I totally admit to this. But I'm so pissed about that. Alright, what's the next one?
If you had a tie-dye Chaos Space Marine army, would you be able to play it in tournament?
Yeah, why not?
I own one. Kind of. Painting Emperor's Children, and it's a freaking nightmare to look at. Have
you seen that color-changing paint? That stuff that looks like spilled oil?
Yep, I've seen it on... I went to a tournament in Canada once, to Astronomicon, and one of the guys that played at that tournament has that color on his Z28 IROC.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
See, I want that on all of my rhinos and like land raiders and everything for my chaos. Like, I want that on all the demons and everything of Slanesh.
Be super pimp. But yeah, do that if you want to kill yourself, because that is really, really painful. Like, I almost didn't make it out the other side of that one. Seriously. But yeah, anyway. I painted my Emperor's Children in about as many colors as you possibly can without
going crazy.
From the pain. Yes, losing your mind and taking everyone with you.
All right, what do we got next?
If GW would focus and develop lore for one faction for a while, which would you pick?
Sisters of Battle. Adeptus Sororitas.
I mean, duh.
Yeah, I mean, they got some really, 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 really good books. But I would love to see them get some new things. I would love to see them with their other unique equipment. I would love to see them with equipment that normally Space Marines use. I would love to see them, because we do know now that they have Thunderhawks, they have Land Speeders. This was explored in the Omnibus, where they talk about them. I would like to also see more corrupted Sisters of Battle fall into each of the Chaos Gods and how the Sororitas deal with this. I would actually like an explanation on how the how and why some of the Canonesses know that the Emperor is just a corpse and a man and not a god, but yet they allow the Battle Sisters to be idolizing him and being religious zealots. And I would like to see how Sisters of Battle do actual, like, full-out warfare. And what did they fly in space? Do they fly in Dauntless light cruisers? Do they fly in battle barges? What is their type of naval warfare? So there's a whole bunch of things that I think should be explored about the Sisters that they're just kind of leaving on the table. And this could also go into the Sisters of Silence and many other aspects of the Inquisition and Acolytes and things like that because of how closely they work with Order Hereticus.
I think we need more Space Marines.
God damn it, Adam. Yeah, well, that one specific Space Marine chapter that I like doesn't have enough lore. That's also my Donald Trump impersonation. It's bad.
Sad.
The worst part is I still support our dangerous Dorito trying to kickstart the apocalypse.
You would.
Of course I would. I love the Age of Strife. I want to see some Thunder Warriors. That sounds awesome. These are obvious jokes, by the way, if you can't tell. All right, what do we got for another question? Chaos Space Marines best tank. Well, I only recently found out that the dedicated codexes for, like, Chaos Space Marine, like Death Guard, can't actually take any of the Imperial armor tanks. Yeah,
you have to take a weird... there's some weird, like...
Yeah, so you have to take a Chaos detachment, a Chaos Space Marine detachment, to actually be able to get the ones from Forge World. And then the ones from Forge World cannot have those Astartes in them because they're not Legion Astartes Death Guard. They are just Death Guard.
I actually think so I think you're right, Alexis. I think one of the big problems is a lot of the tanks are intended to be transports. So anything that's kind of a transport is super expensive and it's going to die before it delivers its troops thanks to all the crazy shooting. Though I have a buddy, our buddy Brandon. He runs a Fellblade. He runs a Chaos Fellblade. That tank, I think, is probably your best bet if you're gonna go for a big central unit because there are some HQs in that list that are also good accompanied with the Fellblade. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of it, but if you go online and check it out, there's like a fixie dude, a nerd character that can fix the Fellblade, and the Fellblade can fix itself. And
Warpsmith can do it.
There's a special one from the Forge World book that does it really, really well. A special dude. And when you run that with some demon screens and some other chaos goodies, it actually decimates other units, and you might actually be able to take out a shadow sword with that thing. So I would definitely give that a look-see because it.
Also, I really like the Legion specific vehicles, like the Legion Basilisk, because you can take those as relics. If you do a Chaos Space Marine detachment, which allows you to then if you do the crazy loopholes and everything, you can take one, and I think that those are pretty good. But you can never go wrong with a Fire Raptor. Just saying.
Fire Raptor, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, technically, you know, it is one of the better vehicles in the game, and while not a tank per se, it is a glorious machine, and it does a lot of work. Another good one that has given people pause is the Mastodon.
Mastodon, God, yes, holy crap.
Yeah. That is a transport that you'll want to take, because that thing is a brick, and it trundles across the battlefield.
It doesn't die.
Rather bricky, and it doesn't die. And you can also take the same HQs as you can with the Fellblade, except that this thing pushes forward, it disgorges troops, and then when you get it into assault, it gets to shoot at things anyways.
Yep.
Great. And then when it eats your guys, it fixes itself.
And if you get mad at your opponent, you can pick it up and throw it at them, and they will die.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about my Spartan. It's just like, it's so heavy. It's just like, I'm just going to chuck this thing at you if you kill it. You think
so, Alexis, do you know if the Mastodon still is still a piece of terrain when it dies?
I have to check that. To be honest, that's one of the things I miss about 7th edition was when tanks died, they stayed on the field.
It still blocked line of sight and stuff? Yeah, that's really good.
Like, I wouldn't... Like, this edition, I really want to get the smoke effects and everything, put them back onto the tabletop, and just say they don't block line of sight for anything. Like, mark out where it is, pick it up so you can call clear line of sight, put it back. But I just like the fact that there is a tank burning on the field.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the listener... you know, if you didn't want us to help you spend 300 of your finest great British pounds, I still love right now. I still think that the DACA Predator is...
Oh yeah, Predators without a doubt are extremely good.
It's bang for your buck. It just sits there and it puts bullets in the enemy, and right now these days -1 AP bullets are a strong, inexpensive way to kill models.
I'm still partial to las cannons, but that's because I really like las cannons. That is my personal preference, but Adam, you are correct. The DACA Predator is better.
And Mike Kaiser as so Alexis, I think you're I don't want to sound wishy-washy, but I think you're right about the las cannon from a certain perspective. What Mike Kaiser took in his Space Marines list was those las cannon sponsons and Predator autocannon turret, which is a good compromise between the two.
That gives you a lot of fire, and you can do the stratagem to make them all +1 damage.
And I think it makes it worth it if you also have a Lord back there with the Predators. So if you're taking 3 Predators, go ahead and sprinkle in some las cannons and throw a Lord in there to give them a +1 to hit. That way you have, or a Demon Prince, I think.
Yeah,
double check your characters. Double check your characters to make sure that you're going to get those buffs. Because if you have the buffs, then taking a big phalanx of Predators is going to be great, and add some las cannons in there for some punch.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so what's the next question?
What's your game store address? I've heard it's in Richmond, New York, and I might be going to the area in a couple months for business and might be able to squeeze in a game.
My store is called Games of Plunder. It is located at 107 Union Street, Cobeskill, New York, 12043. I get that confused with where I pick up my mail, so yeah. But just Google Games of Plunder. You can find our Facebook page, our store page. We're almost always open. If you do want to schedule a game with me, since I only work there 3 days a week, send me a message or call the store, and I have a gaming table up there. I keep armies there on hand, so it'll be awesome. And just tell me how many points you want me to bring. I can literally bring tons and tons of points. I can do any point game. Reasonable point game. All right, next one.
Favorite Space Marine chapter?
Dark Angels.
Oh.
I gotta give it to my Dark Angels. I love them. I love the secrecy.
And it allows for so many stories, right? Like there's so much about them that you can do on the tabletop for stories. Gosh, what's my favorite I don't even know. I made my own Space Marine chapter.
Yeah, same.
I like making my own, and mine are like the social justice warrior Space Marine chapter, basically. Like I made it because I made the Space Marine chapter I did because there's
funny.
Much bro fist white guy out there in Space Marines that I decided to go with a Space Marine chapter that comes from a world that was settled by like a settlement ship from the deepest, darkest pits, like jungles of Africa.
Oh my god!
During the Dark Age of technology, so there's nary a Caucasian to be found in my chapter.
You went full SJW on that. That is hilarious.
I certainly did. It was great. And it's like it goes deeper than that. I'm not going to bore your listeners with all the details of my chapter because I have like 100-page like codex full of narrative on it. So giant nerd.
But that actually might be one of the best joke chapters I've heard of. All right, what do we got for the next one?
What do you think of all the new Custodes rules that dropped this week so far?
It's looking like the best way to run your 5-man custodian squad is 2 shields, 2 spears, 1 banner. If they don't make the banner's more than likely going to be an ancient by himself. So 2 shields, 3 spears. Deep striking in a giant 10-man squad and then combat squatting it sounds amazing. So you can deep strike in 4 squads essentially. If you count them as 2 10-mans, then deep strike them and then combat squad them. I kind of really like them, but I think that they're going to suffer the same problems as they did before. They're just going to die to smite spam, even with that 6-up. It's not enough.
I am contractually obligated to not discuss such things until Saturday. So
yeah, you have the codex too, don't you? Yeah, I'm not allowed to open it yet.
Contractually obligated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in my shop. I want it. Anyway.
Which tank is better? A Lehman Russ Punisher or DACA Predator?
Oh. Well, first off, I'm assuming you mean loyalist. That really.
On the face of it, I would say Punisher if you just look at the tanks, it's probably the Predator, but in the paradigm of the actual faction rules, it's the Punisher because you can shoot the turret twice, and you factor in the orders and everything like that. I think the Punisher wins out on the math hammer, though the greater individuals than I have actually worked out the math, I'm sure.
I kind of like the Punisher because I always run it with Gilliman. Not the Punisher. I like the Predator. I also like the look of the Predator a little bit more. It's more sleek. I do wish it was bigger. Because in all
BS3, where the Punisher starts out at BS4, but then you have the command, or you have your your commanders, which are nearby. But then again, yeah, if you're running 3 predators with Guilliman, then you're starting to talk about getting all the rerolls to wound as well, which you don't always get with Cadians. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty well pointed, to be honest.
It's really dependent on your playstyle and where you see yourself playing. Like, if you're going to play Space Marines, go for the Laspred, or go for the Predator. If you're playing primarily Guard, if you're doing Imperial Soup and you have options for both, I personally would do 3 Predators, simply because Guilliman allows them to reroll everything, and they could do the kill shot stratagem, which I think is slightly, keep in mind, slightly better. But the overlapping fire is also incredibly good. So I would look at the Math Hammer for it.
Though, you know what, Alexis? Like, I think this is an instance where it's like apples and oranges, right? So if you're playing Space Marines, the Predator is great.
Well, what if you're playing Imperial Soup?
If you're playing Imperial Soup, then you're taking Basilisks, not Predator or not Punishers. Don't have to target it, because in the ITC and a lot of tournaments are understanding the concept of hiding units and having line of sight blocking terrain. So I would say that you're better off spending those points on things like basilisks and manticores and stuff.
I could agree with you on that. All right. Do we have any more questions?
Yep.
We are gonna wrap this up soon, so let's get in some last minute questions.
Alrighty. What do you think would be a good non-established Sororitas Order color scheme? I'm starting a Sisters army, and was considering black and gold or black and purple.
Pretty much mix black with anything makes really good Sisters, or white with anything makes really good Sisters. I kind of like the black and yellow look of Sisters, but black and purple could look cool if you do it up with a very light dry brush of pink to that purple. So you got the 2 different colors going on, and it would look really nice. But Sororitas are really expensive, so you should probably pick before you start buying. Let's see.
Maybe add a splash of white in there.
Yeah, always go with the white, because they're really kind of just black and white as their base colors, and then you just add a secondary color to them.
Yeah.
Which is really funny, because you can never make Sisters of Battle look amazing. It's always, they look like Sisters.
You're right. Having that highlight color, like you said, is really important for that purple, because purple can get lost with black. Mm-hmm. If you don't give them a nice highlight on there, a nice bright highlight.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right. Next question.
Thoughts on the Jacaro?
I like the Jacaro. I mean, they're not good. Although I did think of a funny strategy with them, all right? So the Jacaro have this long range. They have a las cannon on their hand. All right, so you can take them with Guilliman, and it makes the Jacaro really good. Or, no, it's just they're just kind of meh. They're kind of neat though. I like them. Little monkey people. Who doesn't like them?
I have no opinion on Jacaro.
You don't like the orangutans that can build better than the Imperium?
I just don't. I mean, I think they're hilarious. I want to be a monkey, monkey. I just don't. I haven't seen their rules, so.
Rule-wise, I kind of, lore-wise, if you want to see a Jacaro in action, look up the Will of Iron series. It is not only one of the best comics ever written for 40K. One of Inquisitor Sabathiel's acolytes is a Jacaro. She just has one with her. And it's really funny because it's fixing stuff and just sitting there hi, I'm an orangutan just sitting at this table with you guys. What's up?
Still going to argue that Eagle Ordinary is the best Warhammer 40K webcomic ever.
continue. And do we have any other questions?
One more. How many Lancers does it take to win stuff?
You know what? If your opponent is playing knights, I think regardless, you should just let them take one additional knight. It's like, rules as written, you can only take like 4 knights, 5 knights in a 2,000-point game. But just go ahead and put that 6th one there. I don't even care.
Yeah, it's really sad right now. Unless you have a Rabute Guilliman in the list, then go yourself. You don't deserve it.
Yeah. I like how lists become better when Guilliman's there. It's just like, yeah, well, I have this knight list. Oh, that's garbage. It has Guilliman in it. All right, it's pretty good.
It's so sad, but true. 3 Questoris Knight Styrixes and Rabute Guilliman would be pretty gross. Amazing. It is so good. It's a 4-up invuln save and a 5-up in close combat, and it has a pretty nasty gun. If I wanted to be a jerk, I think that's probably what I would do for a competitive knight list.
Yeah, I could see it working too. Alrighty, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this live stream. Adam, I want to thank you for joining us, and if you want to do any plugs, now is the time.
I'm just glad to have been able to join you. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, just check out if you're interested in listening to 2 jamokes and every once in a while someone else trying to suss out what it is, what's all this Warhammer 40K lore about, and try to apply rules to it and generally chat about the hobby. Check out Masters of the Forge at mastersoftheforge.com or on iTunes. Really appreciate giving me the opportunity to talk about the tournament and our little podcast.
Oh, I love the tournament, and every time that I go to one, and you're there, we got to do this.
Yeah, and I do want to say, and to you and anybody else who went to the tournament, to thank you for coming out. I really, really appreciate everyone who took the time, the money, and to be honest, braved the dangerous weather.
Yeah, that was terrifying, by the way.
Everybody showed up on time and was ready to go, and I really appreciate the community coming together, and I think we have a really nice community here in the Northeast. And no matter how hard, like you were saying, Alexis, no matter how many hard lists there were, people were still decent and awesome and fun to play with. So kudos to the community. I hope that the next one will be just as good.
So do I. Again, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. I love you guys. Bye.